this video is to kind of give people an idea of how in intelligence and force protection you look for behaviors or patterns or questions to dig deeper. And what I have found is that between my former employer, Triple Canopy Constellus, and some of their founders and investors, I found some connections. Some connections with people that donate money to campaigns and people who donate money to charities that are connected to wealthy people or politicians. And finally, how people who are friends on Capitol Hill with real estate companies or real estate moguls, how things can trickle down. Now, most people don't have the attention span to deal with this. They just automatically say, "Oh, I don't get it. Oh, it's too much," or "Oh, that sounds like schizophrenic or something." So what I'll say is this: between my former employer and some other investors, some billionaires. I mean, the company now and all of its subsidiaries is valued at over $1 billion. So the investment portfolio, which I believe is still falls under Apollo Asset Management, or no, Apollo Capital Management, it's an investment portfolio. And now that they've merged holdings from Blackwater Holdings, this is a big portfolio. And, I'm not going to go into the ties they have with really bad people who are uber rich. Some of these people are reportedly gone now, but deceased, reportedly. But I will say this: if you follow the money trail of investing and donating from my former employer, like I've said all along, they're not the main responsible party for destroying my life and destroying my family, my health, enticing people to target myself and my children here and abroad. But they're certainly one of the sources of money. And now some of the people that work there, now that they have a retirement, they can retire from contracting and still have income. They can do whatever they want with their money. That's where you get the statement unlimited. What's the thing they say? I'm trying to forget the thing that people say. Money is no object. Regarding targeting myself and my family, my children. Money is no object. And so, I know that some of my former employers, they're responsible for organizing against me in the black community. And some people employ a lot of African Americans, so that's how they keep this going. But I will say this: the money, there's a lot of money that comes from Michigan too, being as we have about a half dozen defense contractor companies here in Michigan, 3 in Saginaw. Believe it or not, people don't know that. We have 3 companies that have defense contracts in Saginaw. And in Grand Rapids, we have one of the biggest defense contractor billionaires in our country, the DeVos Prince family. And they have some friends who, specifically a friend who's a senator in Louisiana, who is friends the people with the people that manage and the people that own the place where I live right now. A certain senior senator from Louisiana is a Republican. And then you can't forget the connections to Trump. The place where I live now donated $10,000 to Trump in 2017. Or, correction, it was 2016. Um, so there's some connections there. And my former employer, through contractors, gave a lot of renovation assistance to our former apartment complex where we were targeted. That one is owned by Midwest Capital Management, another investment portfolio. So you can see some of the connections here, perhaps, people. And the fact that some of the people involved in my former employer are knee deep in Trumpism, knee deep, you know. And I'm just going public with this so the truth is told, because in God's glory, whatever happens to me and my family, maybe some days people will be held accountable. It is pretty obvious that the company retaliated. It's very obvious. And they used, and it should be of concern to people that my former company and employees of, various portfolios connected to Mr. Prince have been training people in intelligence and human intelligence collections, and getting away with it. So that's how people are so clever, and they keep things, out of the public eye, or there's no paper trail, because people are being trained in intelligence tactics, but they don't have the vetting and they don't have the accountability of intelligence professionals. They certainly don't have the training. Getting a couple months of training is nothing compared to what people are trained at in Monterey or in other places. Langley, this is nothing. Or people that get graduate degrees in intelligence. This is nothing. But they're teaching people in certain methodologies. That's like teaching somebody how to build a weapon, but not teaching them gun safety. And not requiring them to register as a home manufacturer of weapons. That's weaponizing people with absolutely no accountability whatsoever. Hence, my family is the product of that. All the destruction, all the lost money, the bad health, the retaliation within agencies, the weaponization of law enforcement. Even though we've been targeted so much about the black community, so much from the black community, not about, from, we can kind of see the results of what black men have to deal with walking down the street, especially at night. I can kind of understand that now. But still, it doesn't justify what a significant amount of the black community in mid-Michigan, especially Saginaw County, has done to my family. There's no justification at all. Matter of fact, it shows for many people a total lack of conscience. For many people. Not all people and not all black people have been involved in this. But, we certainly see a pattern. Somebody is organizing in the black community amongst people who are open to retaliate against somebody who's white and Asian and who's a single father. So, and who's a veteran. So that's all I can say about that based on the evidence. But again, we come back to the fact that, we can't forget, the diversity within the Black Hebrew Israelite community, but yet they can be easily weaponized. Can't forget that. But again, I don't judge people as a group. I'm just saying from what I've seen within their community, easily weaponized against somebody like me. But again, we come back to this trail, I'm starting to see a few more pieces now. And, I guess if you're a billionaire and you have the name DeVos or Prince, you can do whatever you want. Sell illegal arms, allegedly. Train militias, allegedly. You can also gallivant and drink and party with Wagner groups and help make paramilitary troops in Russia. And, this is a personal religious note. And Mr. Eric Prince is a convert to Catholicism, and it truly grabbed his heart. Why is he allying himself with the Russians? Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Putin is a dictator. What has he been? Premier or president? Either premier or president of Russia now for like 20 years? That's a dictator. And then he's like this with the Moscow Patriarchate, like this. And, Moscow's an independent patriarch. It's the only one that has been, given autonomous status that is, it's not one of the traditional patriarchates. It was added later out of deference to the crown of Russia. For the most part, that's the only autonomous patriarchate that is nationalistic, the only one. Other ones are smaller, have been given autonomy by the ecumenical patriarchate. But that being said, it doesn't diminish their validity, since amongst peers, the other patriarchates have accepted them as an equal. So it's done. But my concern is, what about the Ukrainian people? As a Catholic, the Tsar of Russia, and then the Bolsheviks, and now other people connected to various Russian regimes have stepped on the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian metropolitans for 200 years. The Ukrainian Catholic metropolitans, they even tried to prevent the Ukrainian Orthodox Church from becoming independent. And they tried to block when the Ecumenical Patriarchate granted them autocephaly. Moscow tried to block this. And Moscow has tried to interfere with the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, like I said, in various forms for probably 200 or 300 years. So how can a Catholic who is a convert, who loves the faith, stand with Putin and with the Moscow Patriarchate, who's stepping on Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church or trying to forcefully convert them or take their properties. That's still going on now. Only now they're also blowing them up. That's a personal note. You know what? I don't care who sees this. I don't care if Eric Prince sees this. I'm holding people accountable. You know, when people targeted my family, then everything I learned over the past 15 years, it's time to go public. Because these things are not done to protect our country. They're not done. You know, as much as he likes to complain about the agency, using them to make money, I don't see him as truly being a star on a wall to protect the agency and to protect our way of life. My opinion is for him, it's all about money. Money and power. That's my opinion. And the same thing I will say about President Trump. You know, I've seen enough retaliation from Trump supporters. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of QAnon destroying my family, my health, participating in us being financially captive. So I'm just making this video just so the truth is out there. I'm sorry it's shaky. You know, I don't have money to buy a GoPro stand or anything like that. Even if I use my GoPro, I'm just going to be holding it in my hand. But I'll just say this, you know, this is holding people accountable. And you know, if you follow the money, it really tells quite a story. All the things that have happened to my family. You know, like I said, it doesn't fall on one person's doorstep, but you can certainly see how people are involved and how people that are cowards, the first minute they see, oh wow, these people are involved. Oh, whoa, you used to work with them? Oh my gosh. So you're a defense contractor too. Somebody in my family used to call me a mercenary. He said, well, people that work in your company are hired mercenaries, right? I'm like, well, yeah, then you're a mercenary. I'm like, no, I'm not. Well, some people in your company are. And I'm like, well, yes, then you are too. It was kind of a family joke. But I'm not. But it certainly shows that what people would do to retaliate. And the fact of the matter that, you know, a couple of my coworkers have companies here. Um, at least one lives here, and I've seen at least three. It shows the company retaliated. And then I can't forget in 2014 when somebody was told, you know, evidently they didn't know I could hear down the hall. Actually, not down the hall. The room was like one or two rooms away. Plus, I heard them talking through the thin paper walls, saying my name. Did you know he's here? And they're like, SHIT, don't talk to him. Don't tell him what we're doing. Yeah, matter of fact, don't even associate with him. And that was when they went public. They went public and they became employee owned at the same time. The same time that um, the wheels were put into motion for the company to be bought out. Not the company, actually, the portfolio that owned them, which is called Constellus Holdings, to be bought out by Apollo. Apollo Global Fund Management or something. I forget the name of the darn invest. It's an asset portfolio. But because some of the people who started Triple Canopy in the beginning, besides being special operators, a couple of them were involved in investment banking. You know, buying assets distressed, breaking them up, selling them, or buying them, um, restructuring and reselling um, distressed companies and real estate and investment portfolios. Um, and the they kind of hobnob with some very, very wealthy one percenters and some very, very wealthy one percenters that are nothing but human trash. So this kind of sets the stage. The educated person will know what I'm talking about. They'll be able to connect the dots and get a big picture of what my family is having to deal with. And then explains why some people in my family are like, no, saying, no one will help you. Nobody will help you. You're on your own. Because evidently we're surrounded by a lot of cowards who are too scared to stand up against the 1% that are ripping apart our company, our country, family by family.